Yeah.
Too far?
All right.
We're back. Now we'll just kind of, maybe we can just do like a recap of the weekend a bit more so we can give everyone time to transfer over.
Cool. Here we go?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just got off of doing a private retreat, you know, where it was powerful. It was very powerful. And there was a lot of things that, you know, like I always say, you know, we facilitate and we hold these containers, but also, you know, people bring us a lot of medicine, right? And of course, this weekend was no different. And yeah, we got to even like deepen into our truth and see things, you know, and even make new decisions. As we were invited our client to make new decisions, we were also making new decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like, you know, it wasn't just a retreat. It was an initiation retreat, because that's the only kind of retreats that we facilitate nowadays, right? So initiation retreats are especially profound and especially powerful because there is such a deep teaching for the client or clients or initiates to receive and to experience. And as Edmundo was saying, there's also not just deep medicine and truth for them, but also for us as the facilitators. And though we hold a level of embodiment around whatever we might be initiating them into, because of how we work, it's, what's the word? It's almost like we are insured to have walked at least some level before we can initiate them, right? Because in order to initiate something into something, you have to have gone first. And so this time was really cool because it was like we were being initiated, or as we were initiating him, we were also deepening into our own wisdom, to our own knowing, to our own truth, to our own creator and creatrix abilities, to seeing where we still have yet to make decisions, to see where we might still be holding false illusions or weaving webs of lies, as we often call it, right? So this is where this conversation and this topic came of the truth about power, because what is the truth with a capital T, right? We all have our own individual truths. And as Edmundo was saying on the intro, the teaser on my personal page, was that based on, you know, you were saying, like, based on our own experiences, life experiences, traumas, lineage, ancestral wounding, etc., like, we see through a specific lens, a specific perspective. And that can be skewed, right? And as you were talking earlier about that, I was really seeing like where religion, you know, is like, this is the truth, this is the way, this is how it has to be, but it's not fully inclusive of multitudes of cultures, of multitudes of different belief systems, right? It's like in religion, it's like there is this one true God and only this true God, and nothing else can exist.
And there's many religions, and they all have their, again, like their truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's it can be very contradicting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like I was saying on Kara's personal page before we moved to here, is that I see this happen a lot, you know, in this space as well, you know, in the space of like coaches and spirituality, yeah, mystery schools and all that, where, you know, somebody's saying like, this is the truth, and somebody's saying like, no, this is the truth, you know, this is how you should navigate this, and this is how you should navigate this, right? No, this is what this means. No, this is what this means, right? And like I said, I've been guilty of that too, right? Like where I speak from a place of like, this is the path, right? Well, this has been my path, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your path, you know? And I remember that why I got into the space, it was to help people become more sovereign so they can discover their own truth. So I don't have to tell you what your truth is, but hopefully from the work that we do and removing the lies and distortions and the shame and that enoughness and the unworthiness, you can see your own truth, because at the end of the day, when we're in that sovereignty, everybody wins, right? I don't have to fight you for your power. I don't have to fight you for my truth, right? Because it's my truth. And I truly believe that, like I was saying, is that, that if it works for you, it's beautiful, right? If it works for me, that's beautiful as well, right? And who am I to tell you that your truth is wrong, or that the way you're doing things is wrong if it works for you? If you're happy and fulfilled and you're thriving and you're living in your truth, who am I to tell you that that is not true? And so again, it's like we get to come to revisit this, like the power, the truth of our power, right? And something that came up this weekend was like being the guardian of that power and how we have to really with responsibility, and reverence, and what we say matters and what we teach matters, and we have to be very aware of that. And again, I would like to come back to my foundation of like, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I am here to help you remove any lies that you've told yourself just to keep you on the stories of not enough or distortions,
false safety,
which has been my journey, and I witnessed it this weekend, where I still have lied to myself just to feed my protectors, just to keep me in my same stories, right? Just to go around looking for that same evidence to reaffirm that my story is true, even if it's distorted, right? Even if it's not rooted in love or sovereignty, right? A lot of the lies that I've told myself was very rooted in fear, just trying to protect myself, right? And so this is why again, like to revisit it, this is what we're doing here. This is this is what we come to believe to be, quote unquote, the truth. The more sovereign you become, the more resource you become. The more that you reclaim your power, then you get to live in your truth, your unique truth.
Yeah, and like kind of coming back to like the guardian of power, like this is a role that I realized at some point that it was, I guess you could say, like almost feels as though it was given to me, like asked of me divinely to be a guardian of power. And I realized as we were initiating so many, because as we resurrect this lineage, let me kind of backstory a little bit. As I realized that we were resurrecting an ancient lost lineage of the most powerful Dragonite healers, I knew that I didn't want to just initiate any random person, right? Like I wanted to be very discerning around who I would awaken this power within, because the power is so fucking powerful. And Mundo asked me, well, what is the power? Right? What is power? And power can look in many different ways, right? And we're often familiar with a lot of the ways that power is misused, but in this context, I feel like it's really our creator and creatrix power, right? And that does involve our holy erotic power. That does involve love, because love is powerful, right? Sexual erotic energy is fucking powerful. It's creation energy. And these two, when they're merged into one, I believe, in my truth and my knowing and what I've experienced, allows the power to be pure, right? And so this is where my mission has come, to bring forth pure power, right? And that meant I had to walk my own initiatory journey into doing that, and I continue to do so, right? It's an ongoing thing. There's many things I've been initiated into around power, and there will continue to be many more, because this is the path that I was asked to walk, and this is the path that I chose to say yes to. So, here we are, initiating people, activating their power, and inviting them in to see their power. Like, do you see who you are? Do you see what you're capable of? Do you see the power that you even have to lie to yourself, to keep you from having what you want, right? Because many of you know that we work with desires, right? What do you desire? You get to have it. You get to have it all, right? And that can be really fucking triggering, because that requires you, in order to have it all, to really reclaim your power as the creatrix, the creator, right? And to wield that power as you desire and as you see fit. So what is your truth in it, right? And so our work, or I should say, like, for me, what I feel as though my duty, my job, my role is to invite you in to see the truth of your power, how you've been wielding your power, how you want to wield your power. How does it make you feel in your body when you use your power a certain kind of way? And then, like you said, is like clearing any of that distortion, because power in its purest essence, it is pure, right? Think of the universe. We don't think of the universe as being any kind of shame or having any kind of like distortions, or being evil or wrong or bad in any kind of way. And yet the universe is created from creator power. It is creation energy itself, right? The earth that we stand on, our bodies, our beings, our children, our partnerships, all of this is creation energy. And it's innately pure, it's innately whole, it's innately beautiful, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? In all of its expressions.
Yeah. I think I want to be clear too in something, because it's also served me very, very well, is that even like the people that I feel like I disagree with, or the people that I feel like it's not my truth, what they offer me is a lot of contrast, right? To even question myself, am I also lying to myself? Am I also like in my distortions? Like, what is people that is, that I'm like disagreeing with? What are they teaching me? And to understand that we all have medicine, right? Because even if it's your truth is not my truth, or vice versa, like, we're still offering each other that contrast to get even clearer on what our truth is, right? On what works for me. And you can say, well, that is not my truth. That doesn't work for me, but I can definitely receive the medicine of that, of the teachings, because again, it's like mirroring something to me. It's invoking something within me that I can use as medicine to even guide me more deeper into my truth. And I think when you see the world in that way, you no longer make people wrong, or you don't see them separate from you. You see it all part of the same equation, right? And again, you can choose to be, follow who you want to follow, learn from who you want to follow, who you want to follow, or who you want to, learn from. That is your right, and at certain times, it's happened to us. People have something to offer us, and then they were like, I'm not there right now. I don't need that contrast right now, or I don't need that activation, so I'm going to go here, and again, just trusting that it's all guiding you back to your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going back to the power dynamic. It's like, again, like, as being here, and guiding others. Like, yeah, you have to be very aware of this. You have to be very aware of your own power. That's the first thing you have to do, is become aware on how much power you have. And the reason why that is because with that power, you can move people. You can influence people. And if you're not in right relationship with that power, you can move people not for their healing, not for their gain, but for just your own gain, right? Just to have validation, or just to see how powerful you are, or just to even double down on your lies, or just to find some kind of false sense of safety, all of things, right? When you're not wielding your power correctly. And so first thing you need to be aware of how powerful you are. And I think this is a lesson for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, for sure. As I was integrating this weekend and just kind of processing a bit this morning and having little conversations with ChatGPT, as I do often, one of the concepts it brought up was, it said power humble, right? Like power hyphen humble. And I was like, that's an interesting concept. I've never heard of that. Of course, I understand and have been deeply humbled by my power and by the lessons and initiations around power. I'd never quite heard it framed in that way, and I really liked that. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but essentially it spoke to, like, we don't own power. We are in service to it, right? We are in devotion to the power. And I think one of the things that we teach all the time and say all the time is like, and I think this is maybe like really like we always say there's levels to this. There's levels to this work. You have an awareness at a certain level and it feels like the truth. And yes, there may be truth, absolute truth in it. And there's levels. So there's a deeper truth and a deeper truth and a deeper truth, right? And we always say, you don't know what you don't know, right? You can only know your truth at the conscious awareness level that you have at any given moment in time. And we say this about ourselves and including us, right? And so this is why, like, we don't like to practice like guru, hierarchical, pedestalized teachings or practice in our mystery school or in our tribe. Like, we really see, like, sure, there's some people who are ahead of us and some people where we're ahead of them, but we all still have medicine and truth and gifts for each other, right? And so I think that this is like really what's important about the truth about power is that there's different levels of consciousness around it. There's different layers. There's always deeper truths. There's always more that you don't yet know. And you have to be humble enough to understand that, right? That no matter how much work you've done, you're still looking through your skewed, distorted perspective and lens. And something that I love about us and how we work is we always give the people that we work with, whether they're, our clients or whatever, we're always like, hey, you always have permission to question us, to come to us. Of course, like, if this needs to happen respectfully, and lovingly and compassionately, and we will do the same, right? We're like, hey, if you're like, like you said this weekend to the initiate, they're like, hey, you're always welcome to call me on my bullshit, right? You're always welcome to say, hey, I see you in a story, right? And, but there's also a way that we get to do it without being in projection as well, right?
Yeah,
which
something,
is the challenge.
Yeah. Something you said there that was like, the reason why we came to this conclusion, what we're talking about today, is because this path is very humbling. You get humble, right? You start off and you think that you know it all, right? You get a little bit of information and you're like, oh, I figured it out, and then you keep doing this work and then you're like, oh shit, damn, I was still in so many distortions, but I think now I know. And then a year later, 2 years later, you're like, shit, I thought I knew it, and I thought I was like done with that. Actually, I hadn't even seen this other perspective, you know. But back then, I thought I was in my truth, not knowing that I wasn't, right? And then it happens like this, you know, and it continues to happen. And it's at one point you're like, okay, so let not me fucking go out here being like, oh my God, this is the absolute truth, because it's always evolving as you learn more, as your level of awareness becomes greater, you know, as people come into your life and they teach you new perspectives, you know, you keep expanding, and what was your truth last year, the year before that, it's no longer your truth, you know, or you deepen into your truth, you know, or whatever. So it is humbling, right? So at one point it's like, well, why would I want to adopt that mentality that in this moment this is the absolute truth? Because it's not. Because a year from now it can be different, or it can be, like I said, you know, a new layer has been peeled, you know, and you can see something else. A new level of the veil has been removed, you know. So I don't want to teach like absolutes, right? I want to teach, again, for you to come to your own conclusions, for you to see your own truth of wherever you're at, right? That you can meet yourself wherever you're at with your truth. Because again, sometimes, you know, and navigating this, you know, for many years now, sometimes, quote unquote, we drop people's truths on people. They're rooted in love, they're rooted in sovereignty, but they yet can't receive it yet, right? They can't receive it because they can't see past their not enoughness. They can't see past their own distortions and lies, right? And that's okay, you know. And we have to, again, come back to, we have to wield our power with responsibility and be like, okay, that's fine. You know, maybe you're not ready to receive this yet, and that's okay, you know?
Yeah. So as you say, wielding our truth with responsibility, it's like, well, what even does that mean? And for me, that means wielding it responsibly is wielding it from love, right? And wielding it from worthiness, right? And so constantly doing that inner work, right? In order to be in right relationship with our power.
And is a beautiful segue into, you know, what we said we're going to talk about, become the creator, right? Because what you speak about is, you know, like, I know where I've misused my power is where I wanted to be the savior, you know, or I had a desire to be the villain of somebody's story, you know, or I wanted to be play the role of the victim in somebody's story, right? And that was not me wielding my power correctly. It was responsible. You know, and I didn't know that. You know, at the beginning of this, I didn't know that, right? And then I did know, and I had a responsibility that now that I saw that I had to, you know, become the creator of my containers, of my reality, right? To the best of my ability, of course, right? I still sometimes get caught up a little bit in that hero, you know, trying to save people, you know, because, you know, I see something in them that maybe it's alive within me, you know, and I have to be careful of that. I have to be aware of that. Of like, okay, like, I'm here to be a teacher, a guide, you know, assist people in their journey, you know, as they heal themselves and, you know, they achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve and drop into their purpose. But I also can't be their hero, because if not, I'm going to insert myself in that equation of like, where now I'm going to take the role on of, no, you must be this for me to play out my hero mentality, right? Like, you have to be better, you have to be healed sooner, or you can't be this. Get it right, because I need to make sure that I'm the hero and save you from this, you know? And in that, I insert myself. And in that, I must start moving people, not because they need that they need that because I need that, right? Or if I am in the villain mentality, you know, like, treat them a certain way because I want them to make me bad, right? Wrong, I'm sorry. I want them to project onto me just so I can say, see, I'm the villain, right? And in that, again, it's not pure. It's distorted, right? It's like I'm not in a container where I'm seeing that I'm here to be of service to them, to assist them, right? I'm here because I want to prove something to me. And that can be very dangerous, you know, and it can be counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish. And again, I say this with not knowing this, but in the same breath, it's like I've had to be so gentle with myself when I didn't get it right, and understand that again, I was humble, that I didn't know what I didn't know, and but I was willing to see it. I was willing to explore it. Again, to remove the lies and to remove the distortions from the lens from where I was seeing things from. and and then along the way, like I said, as you grow, as you expand, you move more into the creator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, into a place of empowerment, to really operating from your true sovereignty, from that secure attachment, right? Like no longer needing to be in the dance of those codependent dynamics, right? Because you're not sourcing your safety from others anymore, or trying to create false illusions of safety through those dynamics with others, because now as the creator or the creatrix, you know how to truly stand on your own, right? And there's, again, layers and levels to this. You'll enter your creatrix consciousness, or your creator consciousness, and there will still be areas where you're navigating, severing those old attachment woundings and old attachment styles, and creating further and further secure attachment. It's like, I think this really comes back to the truth, right? There can be more than one truth at a time, right? There's more than just one truth. And something you were saying earlier of like, yeah, like you come to an awareness of truth and you think it's the absolute truth. And it's not that it's not true, it is true, but more than one truth can exist at once. And I think the invitation here is that yes, you can have a level and awareness of truth about power, and understand that there may be more that you don't yet know, or that you haven't yet been able to see. And just moving with that understanding will also help you remain in right relationship with your power, and it'll open you to continue. You'll stay more surrendered to other alternatives, other truths that are available for you to see, in order for you to be even more powerful, right? In creating what you desire in life, and guiding others into their truth and into their sovereignty, right? And this is so counter every system that exists in our current society today, because everything says you have to do it like this. You have to walk the journey linear like this. You do this, you go to this grade, then this grade, you learn these things and these specific things, then you go here, then you go here, then you go there, right? But it's just up here that we're experiencing it in the mind, and it's never actually being fully embodied in all of the ways, right? And so I think this is another beautiful truth about power, is that in the spiral path of it, and this is like really, I think, what the work that we do, and that is so unique about how we initiate and how we teach and guide, is you will have your own initiatory experiences on your path that allow you to bring it just from the mind truth into embodied truth, into true knowing of your power. And then you get to wield that as your creator or creatrix capacity, power, ability to manifest your desires in a much more intentional, conscious, and I would even say clean way, right? And by clean, it's like we don't have to do it necessarily like cause all the harm, and we have those experiences too, right? But again, the more awareness that we have about our power and the truth of our power, is then we can just say, this is what I want, and please show me the way. And you work in a co-creation with the divine to bring these things forth, and then you learn what you need to learn in the process.
Yeah, I have two things that you said there that I want to go a little deeper with.
Please do.
The body. So I trust my body more than I trust my mind, right? Meaning like that I trust more of my intuition or gut feeling more than I trust my mind, right? A lot of times where because of we live in a place of information and we're bombarded with all this information, you can get lost in it, right? You can not, you start like, it can get all confusing and saying like, shit, I don't even know what the truth is. I don't even know how to move. But I feel like for me, and this is like, again, my truth, you know, and I can invite you to explore it if it's your truth, is that my body has always guided me in a more aligned way, in a more truthful way. You know, they say the energy doesn't lie, you know, and my body's really good at picking that up. Right, of like, okay, like, make a decision. What is my body telling me? What is my intuition? What is my gut feeling telling me? And it's been my experience that it's never done me wrong. You know, it's always guided me correctly, right? Sometimes, like I said, like, you know, I can be in my lies, I can be in my distortions, my not enoughness, but my body says, you know, hey, yeah, that doesn't feel good. You know what? Actually, this feels good. You know, and that is the importance of embodiment. That is the importance of like releasing trauma, you know, of, you know, learning and actually going through the experience to embody it, right? Because again, we live in a world now of information where you can Google this, you can talk to all kinds of people, and they'll tell you, right? They're like, oh, this is what you have to do. Yes, but do you know it? Like, is it part of you? Have you digested this teaching, this information, and made it yours?
Do you feel it?
Yes.
In your body.
Right. And that's when life really starts changing, right? That's when life looks different. You attract different kind of people. You know, you manifest in a different kind of way because it's all being guided from this place of embodiment. Which is, again, this is like where you know, again, this is where we feel like the magic happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, we put it to the test many of times, you know?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, it's like you're speaking of embodied truth. Right? And there's a lot of power in embodied truth.
And this is the thing, like I said, you know, this is the thing that when you go to like school, it's just a lot up here. A lot of the shit that you learn, you forgot. You'll never use it again. You'll you know, you just never digested it. You just kind of kept it here. You put it down on a piece of paper, and that was that. You know, a lot of systems in our world are designed that way. You know, where we just learn them, but it's like it doesn't really give you the results that you're actually looking for. You know, it's like sometimes it's like frustrating for me because I know shit and I still understand that I still have to walk that experience. I still have to go through the process, right, in order for me to embody it, for me to come to the other side. You know, at one point I just had to put it down, be like, okay, I already know this shit, but I need to do the thing. Or I need to, you know, put myself in a situation so I can actually embody it, you know, and not just keep it up here. Another thing that you said too that I feel like is worth like, you know, talking about, you know, going a little deeper is that we talked about like, you know, basically what we were talking about was the drama triangle, you know, where you have the villain, you have the victim, and you have the hero, you know, and at any given time you can be any of those, you know. And then the idea is to move into the creator. And the reason why that is, the reason why we want to move into the creator is because with the creator, we actually take our power back, you know, and we're talking about power. And it can be a motherfucker, right? It can be very confrontational but it's also very liberating. As you say, you become the creator, what you're basically saying, I am creating my reality. Everything that's in front of me, I am creating, right? And it can be confronting because, you know, you manifested, you know, not manifested, you attracted that person that maybe wasn't, you know, very healthy. And why? Maybe because it felt familiar. You know, maybe you, as a child, that's all you knew, and then you kept attracting the same kind of person, and it kept reaffirming that this is the type of person that you know, that your relationship with. And that can be very confronting, right?
Just that people hurt you, kind of thing.
Right, and that can be very confronting because that's what your body feels familiar. You know, we don't fall in love with, you know, I believe is my truth, you know, that we don't fall in love with people that we, you know, that we love. We fall in love with people that are familiar. We're attracted to people that feel familiar. You know, our body knows, like, oh my God, I feel something for this person. But it's just your body feeling familiar with that person, even if this person is toxic, right? Because that's all you've known, and it's not till you reprogram that you start attracting different kind of people. Same thing with your relationship with money. Like deep down, you feel a certain type of way about money, right? Maybe you don't feel like you deserve it, or maybe you feel like you don't know how to manage it, or maybe you feel unworthy of it, or maybe you have to believe that money is evil, or you see people that have money as, misusing it, all the things, right? So then that's your relationship with money. And maybe you reject it, or maybe you're able to hold it, but then you can't hold it anymore, you dissipate it, and all the things, right? But to drop into the creator is to say, well, if I am creating all this, then I can also change it. And that's you come and bring, wielding your power again, like with reverence, with
conscious authority.
Yeah, because you're that powerful that you can do that. That you can that if you can attract this thing that didn't give you the best result, you can also attract the things that give you the life that you want. That drop you into your purpose, and that can be again very confronting. I've had to really. There've been times where it really took me down to realize that I created this reality, and to see myself how I created this reality. But again, to take my power back, I had to do that. I had to be like, okay, so if that is true, if I am the creator, then I can create a different story. I can create a different dynamic between my relationship. I can change my relationship with money. I can change my relationship with my kids. I can change my relationship with this business. With
your body.
My body, exactly. Everything. And this is the reason why we want to move into the mentality or the archetype of the creator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's something, as you were talking, I was just like, there's different ways that we wield our power, and it's, I guess this is like a truth that I have found to be true for myself. And there's where we are passively wielding our power, right? Where it's happening unconsciously, right? And that oftentimes yields experiences that are perhaps less desirable, that create suffering and pain. And we can use those experiences where we're creating unconsciously things that we quote unquote don't want. Well, we feel like consciously we don't want them. Unconsciously though, we do want them. And this is something that many people have explored around the truth of our power to create our realities. A great book around this is Existential Kink by Carolyn Elliott. We recommend it to everyone. And it can show you where when you don't have something that you want consciously, where there's a part of you that doesn't believe you get to have it, doesn't feel worthy of it, or is afraid of receiving it for whatever that reason is. So there is, I feel like, for me, this is a truth around our power, right? And how we can create consciously, right? And then loving, and this is again, like where we come back to what we were speaking to earlier, is you love the part of you that is creating unconsciously, right? And then you reclaim your power consciously, right? As you bring love and acceptance to this aspect of self. And now you can, I think I use with authority.
Decision.
Command through decision consciously to create and receive what it is that you desire consciously.
And even that could be I know for me, anyways, I'll speak about myself, that can be confrontational, that it can boil down to a decision. I haven't decided, It can be very activating, to say, really, can it be that simple where, if deciding is what's going to yield a different result? Yes, you're that powerful. Or, sometimes we're undecided, we haven't made that decision. We're still, tumbling in the wind, And then it's like, no, today I'm deciding, I'm dropping into my body, and I'm deciding that I have to have this partnership, that I have to have this much money, that I want to have this kind of health, and I'm deciding today, and you can have like a ritual, you can have like, and whatever drops you into your body, really, right? Making that decision. And it doesn't mean that because you just make the decision that that's it. No, but what it does is that now you put it in the GPS, and now you're going to be more laser focused, navigating towards that decision, right? Instead of letting other people make the decision, because they will. If you don't make your own decisions, other people or other entities, or
your
whatever,
unconscious mind
yes,
will even make the decision.
Yeah, exactly, right? Your trauma will make the decisions. Your fears will make your decisions,
yes.
right? And so, like, it's like you put your foot down and say, no, this is what I'm deciding. And sometimes you forget you made that decision, and you have to come revisit it. No, I'm not gonna give my power away, or I'm not gonna be in this relationship with this person, or I'm not gonna do this with my money because I decided that this is how I'm gonna move forward. And it can be like I said, the GPS to get you to your destination of whatever you decide that you want to release or obtain or whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to keep coughing.
I want to. It's been a minute since I talked about this, but I want to bring you back to kind of like quote unquote the basics, and just like so maybe it'll offer you something, right? Because I know it offered me something, and I think it's like very relevant to what we're saying right now. So we've talked a lot here, right? One of the things that helped me a lot, it was like this formula, and the formula goes like this, right? That we have beliefs, that we have stories, that we have experiences, right? And all of that dictates our thoughts. They influence our thoughts, right? Like if I was abused as a child, then that is definitely affecting how my thinking. Say I was beaten by a man, or my father was abusive, then it's gonna influence how I see men, right? My thoughts about men are gonna be dictated by that experience. And we can apply this to anything, right? I'm using an example right now. And so, whatever trauma, experiences, stories we have, beliefs that we have in our unconscious mind, because a lot of stuff is very unconscious, like those stories are just there, right? But they're influencing your thoughts on how you navigate life, how you see things, right? And those thoughts are influencing your feelings, right? You have this thought, and immediately you feel that thought, you feel fear or anxiety or uncertainty or whatever, right? Or the opposite too can be you feel love, you feel bliss. But the idea is that your experiences, your traumas, your beliefs are influencing your thoughts. Your thoughts are influencing your feelings, and your feelings are influencing your actions, right? If I feel resistance or something because of my thoughts and because of my experiences, I'm not going to take action in that thing, or I'm going to avoid it, or I'm going to do it a certain type of way, right? Based on how I feel, and we've all been there, right? We all been there, and so then I have this feeling which dictates my actions. Either I will take action or I won't take action, and then the action yields the result that you want, and the result confirms the stories that you have. Right, and it's a cycle that you're it runs over and over and over. I think like a very simple example that I've given in the past, and it's been a minute since I talked about it, is like going to the gym, like losing weight, right? The most important thing, the thing that we do right off the bat is like we go to the gym, right? That's the action, but we skipped a bunch of other things, right? Maybe you bypass your feelings, maybe you force yourself to take that action, but you didn't address the way you felt. Right, and then if you didn't address how you felt, you didn't address the thoughts you had about your body, about your health, about any of that, right? And if you haven't thought about that, then you haven't probably dug deep into why you're having these thoughts about your body, about working out, about your health, right? And so you always want to go back to what's the story that's there, what is the experience, what are the lies I'm telling myself, like what is the trauma that's still carried, right? And to go through the cycle and yield the result that you want, right? And that's, I feel like it's very, it's a lot big correlation to misusing our power, you know.
In what way?
In the way that if I feel powerless, right? If, as a child, say I feel powerless, you know, or I was constantly fighting for my power because, you know, people didn't acknowledge me, or my parents were always squandering my creativity, or you know, telling me I was useless, unworthy, or whatever, right? That was my experience. So as an adult, my thought is like, I'm not enough, I'm unworthy, nobody pays attention to me, you know. And so then you feel like, you know, not enough, you feel like unsafe, right? And so then now you take the action of constantly trying to fight people for your power, right? Or always trying to exert your power just to regain that level of, you know, sovereignty or safety or whatever, and then you end up violating yourself and others for it. So then it reaffirms that you're powerless, you know. It reaffirms that story that you're powerless, right? Because that's the result you got, you know. And then you get more and more and more of that until you can go back there and change that the story that you had, you know. It's like, actually, you know what? I'm powerful. I see myself now in my sovereignty, in my power, in my love, in my enoughness. The thoughts that you're going to have are going to be very different. And you're no longer going to fight people for your power. You're not longer going to try to go around trying to prove yourself to people that you're powerful. You'll know because you went back there and you made a different decision. You changed the story that you carry. You adopted a new belief. And therefore now you get a different result where you feel your power and you don't have to misuse it. You know, it's sovereign power. You know, that is the result of navigating all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can apply this into any kind of
paradigm. Yeah,
any kind of result that you're looking for. You know, again, and I said for most of us, you know, we go to the action because we feel like in the action is where we're going to get the result. Right? And sometimes you do have to take the action just to show you, right? Again, to show you maybe where, you know, there's still some lies, some distortions, some not enoughness, whatever, right? And that's why, again, we go back to the, you know, my truth, maybe it's not your truth. Your truth sometimes is not my truth, depending on where we're at in that space of the wheel, you know? Mm-hmm. Maybe I have a very different beliefs than you do, you know, maybe vice versa, you know? Maybe I think very differently than you, and this is why, you know, the result, your feelings, whatever, it looks different than mine. And who am I to tell you that, you know, your truth is not your truth? In that moment, that is your truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that this is where a lot of power struggle happens, right? A lot of power struggle happens because we only know what we know in any given moment. And when we don't make space for there being alternative truths, then we want to fight for our truth and our power being the way.
This is the importance of, again, seeing yourself, your sovereignty, you know, your to drop it in a place of love, right? Of enoughness. This is why, again, we take it back to the basics. This is what we want to teach. This is how we want to have an impact in our communities, in our work, right? Everything we do is for that. Everything we teach is for that. You know, to reprogram those stories that you're not enough. You know, the stories that, you know, what happened to you, happened, what do you call it? Not to you, but for you. Mm-hmm. You know, and all the things, right, that we start from the story. This is why we go so deep. This is why, you know, we go really deep into the unconscious mind, into the shadow, because that's where those stories lie. That's where those beliefs lie. You know, and they're running the show. They're influencing your thoughts. They're influencing your feelings. They're influencing the action you take. And they're always influencing the result that you're getting and why your life looks the way it looks in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have comments?
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Heather. Heather says, yes, everything says this is the only way, and we are not that way. And then she was like, yes, to conscious reclamation. Angel says, love this topic today. So much awareness. And Heather's speaking to, again, like, always fighting for your power. That was my entire childhood. No one chooses me. I'm unworthy. I'm used. Those were the stories. Yeah. And then you actually fight to keep those stories true. Right? Because that's like when we're in the victim consciousness paradigm, right? Like of the drama triangle concept that you mentioned earlier, we find false sense of power in that dynamic, right? And so we can fight for those stories to be true.
Well, like I said, because actually dropping into your truth can be very confrontational, you know, and there's some development that happens. You know, I think a lot of us start there, you know, where we're fighting for our stories, and people come and tell us like, hey, by the way, you know, you actually love the drama. You know, you actually, that's your kink, you know. Do you actually know that you're more powerful than you realize? Hey, do you know you have a saying in the matter? And you're like, no, I don't, because X, Y, and Z, because my parents, because blah, 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 right? And you fight for the stories, right? Because it's very confrontational. And then, you know, sometimes life submits you, or, you know, it does no longer serve you, you know, or there's come people that can actually guide you in through that, you know, very kind of, well, I was going to say gentle, but it can be very activating too.
It's not always gentle.
It's not always gentle. But it's always for your highest good, you know? So, you know, and then you're like, okay, I'm willing to see. I'm willing to confront this part of myself, this story that I've been carrying. You know?
Yeah, I think as you're speaking to this piece is like, it's this thing that we always say of like, no one else is the reason why you don't get to have it, right? Because that's where we give our power away to someone else instead of fully own our power and stand in our decision and choose to receive our own worthiness, that we are worthy, because we're the only ones that can do that part, right? That's a lot of fucking power. We're the only one who can deem ourselves worthy of having what we want, right? Of creating the life that we desire, of creating our reality. We are the only ones that can do that. And that is very confronting.
And I feel like, you know, again, this is my truth, you know, it can be a little tricky, but I feel that I owe it to my mission to see my worth. I owe it to my wife to see my worth. I owe it to my kids to see my worth. Like I owe it to them to see my worth. I owe it to me to see my worth, right? I'm not doing society or my community or my wife or my kids or anything any favors by not seeing my worth, right? Like the more I see my worth, the better I show up in my life, right? The more I bring bring the power back to me and no longer have to fight anybody for my power, right? The better I can guide people without, you know, trying to move them just to appease my insecurities or my unworthiness or my, you know, feeling unsafe. So I again, it's like a mentality shift, you know, that I adopted of like, no, I owe it to myself to see my worth. It's not an egotistic desire, or it's not an egotistic like way of thinking. It's like, no, like I know when I cross references, because this is what I do. Right? I'm constantly like cross reference everything in all kinds of different ways, just to see if I actually am in my truth or if I'm in my distortions. And when I drop into that, I'm like, no, there's no downside or there's no negative to me knowing my truth. It's only positive. It's only gonna make me a better person.
Heather says, "Oh yes, that the way that we guide is very activating, like hysterical laughing face."
I thought about you, Heather, when I said sometimes it's gentle. I'm like, well,
and sometimes not.
Sometimes it's not.
Heather says, like the question is like, who the fuck am I to blank? Is one of the last layers of this for those who face that mirror. Who am I to be that decider? Oh, yeah, I am the creator. And this world teaches you to put everyone else first, not to be selfish. They take you away from yourself. So coming back to this is an activation in so many ways. Yeah, that's really very true, right? Because that's how they That's how you control other people, right? You have them give their power to you, right? We see this in our government, we see this in the school systems, we see this in the financial institutions, we see this in religion especially, right? You give your power to church, you give your power to God, right? You give them your money. You can only connect to God through their house of worship. You're not allowed to do it in other places or ways. If you do, it's like, blasphemy, heresy, all of that, right? And they say you're a sinner, right? I think this is very much like the undertone of what you're speaking to, Heather, is you're innately bad, you're innately wrong, and innately unworthy, right? And you have to like prove and do all of these things and jump through all of these hoops to be worthy of, God giving you what you want.
Yeah, I was thinking about like how, we've been called like cult leaders, and people have, it's always people that don't know us, right? They just want to assume, they call us cult leaders. And we were talking here to like a friend, like I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, I can't remember. And he goes, you guys are like the opposite of a cult leader. I said, like, what do you mean? He goes, well, actually, like, I know what a cult leader is because I think they had like a very close encounter.
Well, they had been a part of a cult, I think.
They were part of a cult or something like that. And the first thing that a cult leader does is they take away your power. They make you the source. They make them the source. Like, meaning that you can't do this shit without me. And this is my truth is everybody's truth.
They isolate you.
And they isolate you. He goes, that is like the definition of a cult leader. And he goes, you guys are opposite of that. You guys are teaching sovereignty. You guys want people to have it. I don't, like I said, yes, because I don't want people to depend on me. Like, I don't want to have this responsibility. Never. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to put me in a pedestal, because the higher they put me in a pedestal, then that means that whenever they're fighting for their power, they're going to want to take me down, and they're going to want to freaking, like, take their power, trying to gain their power through me, and I'm not their source, right? And so it's interesting how, people just create distortions, don't understand what we teach here. Again, like, we had other people too, again, just not that they're bad or anything, but they're just maybe coming from a place of fear of thinking that if they work with us, that somehow they were going to be dependent on us. And I'm like, okay, what I want for humanity, for anybody that we work with, is for them to create their own, because that's how we're going to have the biggest change. Like, I want people to help me carry the torch, not not to depend on me, but say, hey man, let's do this together. Like, I want to guide you into you having your own thing, and you go do your own thing, and you go change the world how you see fit, and I'll continue to do my own. I just definitely don't want to become nobody's source, and that's something that anybody's source, and that's something that Kara and I even navigated this in our marriage, really like finding sovereignty within our marriage and not making each other a source. No. I like a few qualities that Kara was very gifted in, that God bless her with, that sometimes it is source for me. Well, we won't go in detail, but I think you guys know what I mean.
I was like, where are you going with this? Like, what are you talking about? I'm afraid to ask. Don't make me cough. I think I have bronchitis again, and I just can't stop coughing. Oh my goodness. Yep. All that is, walking a path and wielding true power is very humbling. It is a very beautiful experience. To feel your power is like, so good, right? Like, we love power. Everyone loves power. Everyone wants power. I will say that is a factual truth about power, is that we all love power, even if it's just a secret, like secretly, unconsciously we love power. We all do. Like, humans desire power. Now, not everyone is here to be, guardians and teachers of power, but we all wield creator and creatrix power. We all do, because we are like literally living embodiments of that energy itself, right? And this is ultimately, I think, like what we are here to do is like walk you back home to remembering your power, your true creator power, right? That you can have whatever you desire, you can create it however you choose, and just inviting you to continue to like bring all of those aspects of you forth into, like, this is the beauty of the wholeness, like walking a path of wholeness, where we reintegrate all of these aspects of self back into love, because that is how you reclaim your power. And then you get to create with all of these aspects like in harmony, versus like even like that, because like a lot of the fighting that you're talking about is like it happens internally first, like you're fighting for power within yourself, and then that happens in your external dynamics, right? And so this is the beauty of it, right? Of like, you hold all the power, you've always held the power has always been yours, and maybe you've expressed it or experienced it in different ways that didn't feel empowering or caused you harm or suffering or caused harm and suffering to others. And now you get to bring it back into truth, into love, and into right relationship, and create, like you said earlier, a different relationship with power that feels really honoring, really reverent, really pure, and truly you.
Yeah. And so if you want to find out who you are and what your own unique truth is, and deepen into your sovereignty, explore those stories that are still hidden, that are still blocking your truth, that are still blocking, there's still a veil that maybe needs to be pulled back, it has to be removed. We have many containers for that. And you're getting ready to do a free container.
I have a free event coming up on April 3rd called The Gospel of the Holy Flame. And it is an activation of your holy erotic power. In order for you to really become and anchor in to the true creatrix of your every desire. Yeah. It's free. I will put the link above, and you can join us and register for that. And I would love to have you. These are profound experiences. I'm really excited about this one because I'm going to be bringing in some shamanic components. Like, I'll give you like a full facilitation. You could even say like an erotic alchemy session. I'm going to be facilitating for you all in a way that I've never done in a free event before. So I'm really excited for it. And the journey that we're going to all take together is probably going to be a little unexpected, but there will definitely be a sacred guardianship component, where you will experience your own initiation around that in order to activate and unleash and ignite this power more fully within yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that you can feel safe and in integrity and pure and in right relationship with your own holy erotic power, right? We're gonna bring the holiness into it.
Is this for women or men, or is this for women?
This one is just for women. Yeah, this one's just for women.
When is it?
April 3rd at 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, Temazcal season's here, so we're gonna next month. We start next month. So if you see my post or if it's been calling you, the Temazcal is again is a beautiful container because you're held by the mother, by the womb of the mother, as again you have your mini death, so you have your rebirth of again dropping even that much deeper into your own truth.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As you're being held, and don't have to do this alone. It's very activating. It's beautiful. We do, we roar, we cry, we sing, we
experience pleasure.
it's could be orgasmic at times, and it's all the things. All the things. Like I said, I'm a huge believer of the Temazcal, the Soil Lodge, because it's such a holistic approach to healing. It has all the components necessary for you to have a very beautiful experience. So
Yes.
that's on Kara's page under offerings. And again, I've made some posts too, so you can find the link pretty easily.
It's pinned to my page.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can find the link pretty easily and see all the dates, and you can register there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, I have private temple sessions. This is where you get to create a blueprint with a masculine, and again, this is a place of exploration. This is a place of, again, you coming back to your own sovereignty and knowing your own truth and removing some of the lies that maybe you've been carrying, and for you to see yourself in your power.
Yeah, reclaim your feminine power.
So if you're interested in that, you also can reach out to me or Kara.
Yes. Okay, one final comment here. Heather says, I can't wait for this next year. So much is falling in line on my end, and I feel like my work is going to make more sense for me to speak, that I'm learning and understanding and moving through all of this. Yes. Very excited, Heather. Woo!
We're about to take Heather on a journey, a long 1 year journey
Of apprenticeship. Yes. Okay, this was great. I need to use the bathroom now. The coffee went through me. Great conversation. Thank you all for joining us. Anyone who catches this on the replay, thank you. Let us know if you have any questions. You can ask in the group, tag us. Any comments, any experiences, any of your own reflections. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, also too, if you're finding value in being in the space, the Dragonite Tribe group, feel free to invite other people into it.
Yes.
We have like astrologers and medicine men, medicine women. We have the temple talks. We have circles. We have sex educators. We have
visibility expert.
Yeah. So, yeah, feel free to invite other people.
Yes,
Free.
yes, it's free. Thank you. See you next week.